Hello everybody, Abed's brother here. And today we're going to be taking a look at the performance of some old PCs versus Control. Control was developed by Remedy Entertainment, published by 505 Games, and currently Remedy. Released on PC August 27, 2019. It uses the Northlight engine and the DirectX 11 and 12 APIs, but we'll be using DirectX 12 for this video. You can see the minimum and recommended specs on the screen there. Pretty demanding for its time, can still be sneaky demanding on occasion. For our first test system, we will be using the A770 and the FirePro W5100. So, we'll be at 720p here. The desktop resolution is 1080p, but the render resolution is 720. Oh, yeah, I'll turn those off. The render resolution is at 720. We're at the low preset here. And I have tried playing this in the past with an R7 260X, which is a pretty similar card to the W5100, but the 260X at most only has 2 GB of VRAM, and you can see here, even at 720p low, we're using about 3.3, so this is a game where you want the extra VRAM. The performance is not... Oh, they spawn here. I know sometimes they do. Oh well. This is going to be... Ooh! That's a stutter. I know sometimes they do. It's been a while since I've played this, actually. This is off of my, well, it's not 100% save, but it is most of them. Mostly completed. And for those wondering, I do have one-hit kills turned on in the options menu, just to, so the benchmark does not drag on forever while I'm engaged in lengthy fights. But we are hovering around, I saw it dip to the 30s, the low 30s there for a minute, but otherwise it looks like we're upper 30s, mid 40s. Which, I mean, at 720p, that's not really anything to be excited about, but it does run, and it seems to run pretty well with that parameter. I mean, if 40 FPS at 720p is okay. I mean, if you have an A10 and a W5100, you know, at this, with a PC of this low of a spec... What? What are you doing here? Didn't know they could spawn there. If you have a PC this low spec, you know, you'll take pretty much any performance you can get, and this is acceptable, it's playable, it's not ideal, it's not something I'm like everybody should go out and get this, but if this is what you have, this is very acceptable for a system that can be built so cheaply these days. Get some particle effects on screen here. What? I swear sometimes this gun is random. What? I'd forgotten how fun it was to throw things at people. Don't shoot it. The risk with picking up those explosive canisters was always they could shoot them while they're in your hands. Let's try big particles. Yeah, 22. This is clearly get by territory. Like, it's enough to get by. I think the W5100 would perform better if it had a better CPU. When you see the dip like that and you're bringing all the particle effects on, that's CPU and GPU bandwidth, but passable. But hopefully our next system, the i5-4590 and GTX 670, will be a bit of an upgrade over that, that first experience there. But unfortunately, we are still going to be at 720p. We're going to be at the same settings. So basically, that first test system did not set a very high expectation. So I'm like, you know what, let's keep it at 720p here with the low preset. and it doesn't look promising right off the bat because frame rate looks a little better, but it's not as smooth. We've got a lot of blips in the frame time graph, and sometimes, you know, in games you see a frame time graph look a little off, and it's like, well, I don't feel it when I'm playing it. I did feel these when I was playing it. Frame rate is better, though. We're in the low to upper 40s now instead of mid-30s, low 40s, so frame rate is better. GTX 670. Using a lot less VRAM here. I don't know what the deal was with the W5100, but we are using 2.7. My GTX 670 is a 4 gig model, so if you're trying to play this with a regular GTX 670, it should still work, but it's going to spill over into system RAM and probably have some additional stuttering. Let's see what happens when we get into the fight in here. Ooh. It always seems to stutter right as it loads in the new enemies. Oh shit. Oh, I drew it! I picked it up. That's awesome. I missed, of course. Felt like there was somebody else over there. So the stutter coming into the room as the NPC spawn is not anything to be too upset about. But the frame time graph definitely felt choppy while playing it. Okay, where did they spawn? Oh. And I missed. I know Remedy has these aspirations to make an action game, but, you know, but even going back to Alan Wake, the original Alan Wake's combat was really quite clunky. Oh, and they both hid. Fantastic. Alright, well, let's pick this thing up here. Let's get our big particles. Let's see what happens. Didn't dip as low as the A10 and the W5100, so this is an upgrade over that, but it's not a massive upgrade. Not at all. Performance could definitely be better. This is a demanding game, and we are running, wait, it's running DXVK, not D3D. So we must be using the DX11 version? Interesting. Better than the A10 and W5100, but not stellar. Not at all. Let's hope number 3 is better here. The FX-8320e and Radeon R9 290. I have big hopes for this system. And we have moved up to 1080p native. So now we're still at the low preset, but we now are at 1080p. And MSAA is going to be off in all these clips just because it actually introduces a blur effect in this game. Oh, look at this. Finally, we have some good performance here. Again, we're running DX12 again, so because it's running VK-D3D. That's interesting that this GTX 670 defaulted to DX11. But no, now 1080p, straight up 1080p, no upscaling or anything like that. And we are in the 60s, 70s, we're in the 80s briefly when we look at a wall. But mostly it looks like we're in the... well, we're in the upper 60s to mid 70s. 1080p low. That's very impressive for a system this old. But we just need some of that power. The 290 has the power. And the FX chip is basically reinvented by switching to Linux. I suspected this system would perform well in this game. And this is makes me very happy to see this. But let's see how it does in combat. Because See, we stuttered to 43 when the enemies loaded in, but even then it wasn't that bad. Oh, but we're dipped to 35. Yeah, FX chip is going to show show some of its limitations here, I think. If you pair an R9 290 with a Haswell i5, i7, you're probably going to get the best performance at the lowest cost in this game. Could absolutely play this, though. This is really good performance here. I'm very pleased with this. 3.5 gigs of VRAM, straight up 1080p. The FX chip even has room to spare. We're barely using more than half of it. So if you have a 6-core, like an FX-8320, you could probably handle this game. I wouldn't do 4-core, but 6-core, you could probably play this game. And yes, I know about the lawsuit with the FX chips and how it was ruled they weren't really cores. Don't care. Just be kind of weird. Common parlance, everyone thinks of this as an 8-core, and suddenly, oh, particles, let's see what it does. Dipped to 39. Common parlance, everyone thinks of this as an 8S in terms of cores. So that's how I still think of it. Very impressive from the R9 290. Still held back a bit by the FX chip, though. Test System 4, we're going with the i7-4790 and the GTX 1060. And if this is like any of the other performances of NVIDIA, the GTX 1060 on Linux, it's probably going to be CPU bottlenecked. We are at 1080p, no upscaling, and the low presets, so the same settings as the FX with the R9 290. Now, logically, the GTX 1060 should outperform the 290, but it does not. It does not at all. We were getting better frames with the 290 through here. And I realize, looking back on some of the videos I've already made and released, this is probably it's turning out to be a running theme that the GTX 1060 just can't keep up. Maybe I should get an RX 480 580 and put it in here, because that would probably be more interesting, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word, but you know, it's not great to always see, like, well, this GPU is CPU bottlenecked because of the NVIDIA driver. 4790 should not bottleneck GTX 1060 in any situation. Except maybe if you are at, I don't know, 720p lowest settings and you're measuring CPU bottlenecking. Most realistic scenarios at 1080p and control should not be bottlenecked or anything like that by i7-4790. And we dipped to 19 with the enemies loading in. Oh, yeah. NVIDIA's driver. GTX 1060 was a great card, but it is very poorly served on Linux. That's just facts. I actually do not have a working RX 480 that I could put in here, but I do have an R9 Fury. But the reason why I wouldn't put an R9 Fury in here is that working Furies are not very readily available. You know, they're not common enough for me to want to... the whole point of this series... Well, let's do the particles. About the same as the FX with the R9 290. The whole point of this series that I'm making is that these are hopefully cheap PCs that, for what they are, that people can go out and just build and test themselves or use. Right? An R9 Fury, they are out there, but I think last time I looked, there were like 20 of them for sale on eBay. Versus a GTX 1060, there's like 500 or 600 of them. Very disappointing from the GTX 1060 again on Linux. Just not really Not really up to the task at all. Now for the i7-5930K and the Vega 64. The Vega 64 has been a big star so far in my Linux testing. It has consistently performed well, and we're at 1440p here. And we are at the medium preset, so this is a heavy load to pull. Definitely a little bit of an uphill climb here. Let's see how it goes. But we are at 1440p medium. Looks like we're in the upper 60s here in the office. Let's do the run. Oh, this is very nice at 1440p. And the i7-5930K holding up well here. Vega 64 remaining fully utilized, having no trouble. Oh, my hotspot. The hotspot on the Vega is high. It's not usually that high. I mean, it's not cause for concern. I think throttle is 110C. But hotspot is definitely hotter than I'm used to seeing. And I saw 97C there for a minute. Frames are still good. We're still in the upper 60s, low 70s. I wonder if there's something in the game code. I hope there's something in the control game code that's heating it up a little more. I don't want to have to repaste it. Every time I have to repaste Vega, it's dancing with killing the card because this Vega that I have has the exposed interposer. And no real stutter at the enemies spawning in. That was good to see. I guess 6 cores really does make a difference, even Broadwell cores. Actually, I lost some health there. I'm surprised. A lot of stuff happening on screen here. Let's see the particles. Yeah, that's the HBM. The 6-core CPU and HBM. No drop from the particle stuff. That's awesome. We're under 60 though, so there's clearly some graphical adjustments that need to be made to stay above 60. I would probably turn off ambient occlusion, maybe? That's a pretty big one. What are you doing? That's a pretty big one to turn off. Might push us over 60 the entire time, though. But about 6 gigs of VRAM, 8 gigs of system RAM. Is that ever? Nope, there's still somebody. What? Oh, come on. Oh, there's 2. Good performance from Vega 64, but a little disappointing that it couldn't stay at 60 the entire time. Probably have to tweak a few settings, it'll probably be fine. But now we have the Ryzen 5 5500 and the Intel Arc A770. Let's see what it can manage. And like Vega, we will be at... Yes, it's a 4K desktop resolution, but it's a 1440p render resolution. So we are at 1440p medium preset, just like with the Vega. And right away, I think we're marginally faster than Vega here. What am I looking at? Oh, that's right. It felt a little choppy. Yeah, that's better. We're marginally ahead of Vega here. Vega was in the upper 60s, low 70s. You can see here we're in the mid 70s to low 80s. So it is a bit better, but it's not nearly the difference that we saw, for instance, in Arkham Knight or Doom 2016. But I have to say, the more games I test, the more impressed I am with Arc. Yes, it generally does poorly in Unreal 5 engine games, but it seems like for a lot of others it does really, really well, at least here on Linux. Yeah, we'll see what happens when we get into the combat here, because Arc has GDDR6 memory, I think? Or is it GDDR6X? Still, I don't think it's the same bandwidth as HBM2. Vega definitely still has an advantage there, but will it matter? So 1440p medium. Oh, we just dipped. Probably because we were loading stuff in as I pan the camera. Ooh! Almost died there. That would have been embarrassing. I have one-hit kills turned on and I die. That'd be very embarrassing. Okay, panning the camera seems to drop the frames per second down to the 50s. Okay, let's get our particle effects going and see what we're at here. It looks like out of combat, Vega's a little bit ahead. In combat, I think it's the same. Oh, this is not going well this time. Give me some health. I mean, over here it looks fine, but now I drop. So I'd say, in combat, yeah, we're definitely under Vega. We're behind Vega here in combat. Out of combat, we're ahead of Vega. In combat, we're behind. That's disappointing. That could be down... Are we bottlenecked? We might be bottlenecked a little bit. CPU bottlenecked. I see we're staying above 90% most of the time. Yeah, very confusing performance from Arc here, because it looked definitely looked very promising running around, but once we got in combat and such, the frame rate and long draw distances frame rate dipped a bit. Well, out of all the PCs I tested on Control, definitely the most promising performance, especially from a value for money point of view, was the FX-8320e and R9 290. That was very good performance, especially for what it costs to put that system together these days. Ideally, I think if you put an R9 290 with an i7 4790, then you're really talking a value build. And that would definitely be something that, you know, you can put the game together, put the PC together, download the game, play the game, and have fun. And that's the whole point here. That's all I've got for you today. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and thanks for watching.